Hello, it's Alison Normore, and I'm reading from my book, Return to Pangaea. Introduction. Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Ralph Waldo Emerson. I wrote in my journal shortly after starting university at age 28. Giddy with the excitement of a new learning adventure, let my life be a never-ending search for truth. And so I embarked on a journey down roads I could not even have imagined. Like most spiritual journeys, it was a winding path marked by achievement and loss, mystical experiences, and spiritual awakening. Similar to the tip of an iceberg, visions, dreams, and synchronicities were evidence of another reality beyond the visible surface of my everyday life. These led me back to a homeland I never knew, a place of spectacular natural beauty and ancient wisdom that only open eyes could see, and a mind and a heart made wiser could understand. Along the way, I shed many aspects of my old self and discovered a more meaningful, connected way of being in the world. A growing awareness of the consciousness of everything transformed me. When I paid attention, the world was full of beauty and mystery, and wonder awaited around every corner. In the light of this truth, I became more aligned with my spiritual nature and instinctual knowing, the truest kind of homecoming, a journey of discovery that never ends. This story demanded to be written. Bringing it to paper, which took several years, gave it form and meaning. I began to see how things fit together into a coherent whole. As I wrote, I was often surprised with unexpected gifts of insight. The excavating of memory also brought to the surface long buried emotions, gave them breath, and helped me heal. For the longest time, the shape of the story was elusive. It refused to be defined, and its parameters shape-shifted with every attempt to pin it down. The story had an energy and momentum of its own and could not be rushed. There was more yet to unfold. I began to see that my life, as it was being lived, was the story, and an invisible rudder was steering the course of its emergence. Most of all, I learned that the place that called me home is as integral as the journey itself. As the pieces of my story were assembled into a tapestry, I pondered the nature of time. When I posed the question of where it began, another possibility presented itself. The narrative could start anywhere. The final pattern developed as themes, so the book is composed of two parts. Part one sets the context of leaving home and my introduction to the body of ancient spiritual knowledge and practice called shamanism. In part two, I describe the major initiations along this new path. So many aspects of my old life and reality fell away. Part three tells about the role of my ancestors and how they brought me back to the place of my birth, and the greatest shamanic rite, death, and transition to the world of spirit. The mountains loom front and center in part four, where I recount the teachings of the stone people as they made their wisdom and power known in unmistakable ways. In part 5, I celebrate my deepening relationship with our fellow creatures, the animals, and how I came to understand their role as evolutionary masters and teachers on the earth. Once upon a time, long ago, the great land masses on Earth were connected. The most recent time in a supercontinent called Pangaea. The geology of the island of Newfoundland tells the story of how continents collided and separated over millions of years. I see in the physical Earth's evolutionary history of separation and reunification a perfect allegory for the shift of consciousness that I experienced and which I believe to be our collective human birthright and, most importantly, our destiny. While facts can be verified, that is, other people shared in the creating of them, my story is subject to the passage of time and memory. That said, I recorded most of the events, dreams, and visions in personal journals. None of the story that follows is intentionally fabricated. I did my best to stay true to what happened and convey the order in which they occurred. I revisit some events in later sections, fleshing out the narrative form from a different perspective. In the interest of privacy, certain facts and names that could identify individuals have been changed or omitted. The warps and weaves of the story are my own. Newfoundlanders are renowned for their hospitality. Not too long ago, before cell phones and email, one never knew who would show up at mealtime. Many traditional dishes are cooked in a single pot, and it was common to add an extra serving, one for the pot. The image of a communal dish and the tradition of preparing for the unexpected visitor speaks to me of sharing whatever you have, no matter how humble, a practice that harkens to a time and a place not too long ago, nor far away, when strangers were welcomed as bringers of news from afar, who brought blessings upon your home. These concepts have stuck with me. When I envisioned this book, I imagined a story that would inspire others to recognize the mythic nature of their own unique life journey and spiritual interconnections with all of life. It is my hope that sharing my story will confirm your own mystical experiences and throw open doors to the wisdom and sacredness of the natural world. May this telling be the unexpected visitor, showing up at your door with news to uplift your heart and mind. I trust it will affirm your soul's promptings to follow your heart and help you find your way home to the place you truly belong, sending sweetest blessings on your journey. Alison Normore, Bombay, Newfoundland and Labrador.